We are covering schedule compression techniques for your PMP exam, which are essential when your project is behind schedule and you need to shorten the timeline without changing the project scope. There are two primary techniques you must know: crashing and fast tracking. On the exam, you'll be given a scenario and you will need to choose the best approach based on the project's constraints, like budget and risk tolerance. Let's start with crashing. Crashing involves adding resources to activities on the critical path to shorten their duration. This almost always increases costs. Think about paying for overtime, hiring more staff, or expediting the delivery of materials. An exam question might describe a project that is behind schedule, but the sponsor has just approved additional funding. The question will ask for the best action to take. An answer like "authorize overtime for the development team to complete critical path tasks sooner" is a classic example of crashing. The key trigger in the question is the availability of extra money. A common exam trap is an option to add resources to a non-critical path activity. Remember, shortening a task that isn't on the critical path won't reduce the overall project duration, so it's just wasted money. The exam will test if you remember to focus only on the critical path. Now let's discuss fast tracking. Fast tracking means taking activities that were planned to be done in sequence and performing them in parallel or with some overlap. Unlike crashing, this technique doesn't usually add direct costs, but it always increases risk. When you start writing code before the design is fully finalized, you risk having to do significant rework if the design changes. A typical PMP exam scenario for fast tracking will present a project that is behind schedule but has a very strict, fixed budget. In this case, you can't spend more money, so crashing is not an option. The correct answer would be something like begin the quality assurance testing phase while the final development activities are still in progress. This overlap is fast tracking. The exam trap here is underestimating the consequences. The increased risk from fast tracking can lead to rework, which may cause even more delays and ultimately increase costs, defeating the purpose of compressing the schedule. So, how do you decide which to use on the exam? It comes down to the constraints provided in the question. If additional budget is available, crashing is often the preferred method as it introduces less risk than fast tracking. If the budget is fixed and cannot be increased, fast tracking is your only option, and you must accept the associated increase in risk. To help you remember this, use this simple phrase: crashing costs cash, while fast tracking creates future fixes. This highlights the main trade-off for each: money for crashing and risk of rework for fast tracking. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.